and now people are saying, oh, well, maybe he could take over at Manchester United. I just wanted to get your take on that. Do you think there's any possibility of that happening?
He's clearly got money burning a hole in his pocket. He's nearly 70 years old. He was born in Oldham. As you say, he was a boyhood United fan.
This is getting scary now, Kieran, because you're giving me a bit of hope, and I don't like having hope. I'd rather not have any.
This is why they backed Project Big Picture and Super League to such a degree. They were hopeful that they'd be able to open up a few more doors in terms of generating money at United. There's nothing in it for them unless there is a price at which they're prepared to budge. Manchester United will sell out Old Trafford even if 5,000 or 10,000 season tickets turn their back on the club. And the reason for that is it's Manchester United.
Jay here of Stretford, Paddock, and this is a one-on-one interview. As we know, as always, the Glazers and football finances and a possible takeover rumour, sort of, are always a hot topic, so we thought we'd speak to an expert. We've got Kieran Maguire from The Price of Football. We've had him on before. He knows his stuff when it comes to football and finance. Kieran, thanks for chatting to us again.
Thanks for the invite, Jay. Looking forward to this.
Yeah, always a pleasure. I'll start with the sort of... This was a real rumour rather than a story. I don't even want to call it a story, really, because that's probably giving it a little bit more credit than it deserves. There's a rumour going around on social media, people looking at a recent interview with Jim Ratcliffe, obviously a boyhood United fan, one of Britain's richest men, was linked with a Chelsea takeover. That didn't happen, and now people are saying, oh, well, maybe he could take over at Manchester United. I just wanted to get your take on that. Do you think there's any possibility of that happening?
Yeah, he's clearly got money burning a hole in his pocket. He's nearly 70 years old. He was born in Oldham. As you say, he was a boyhood United fan. And if he's still got any affection for the club, probably like the vast majority of the fans, he's going to bed crying at night. It's a frustrating position to be in. The price of Chelsea has been determined. So now we've got a benchmark price. It's something he can do. He has said previously that there's a mug in football who's willing to pay more than £2 billion for a football club, and that mug isn't him. Well, he then sort of changed his mind by pitching in for Chelsea. And clearly, United are a bigger club in terms of the stadium, the opportunity to build in terms of infrastructure, and the fan base. So all of those would be attractive to somebody who, after being publicity shy for most of his life, has suddenly changed his mind and seems to want to get people to know who he is and what he can do.
I don't know if you. I mean, I presume you saw that interview. Obviously, you've spoken about it, but he seems to have the impression of someone that. And I know it's easy to give these impressions, but would be getting into it for the right reasons if he did. Not someone who's necessarily, I can make lots of money out of this, but, was sort of saying this could be something worthwhile doing that, isn't just about making money, but it's about building something.
Yeah, I mean, that was very much his pitch as far as Chelsea were concerned, in the sense he says, hold on, this money is coming from a British football fan who's not borrowing money. If we take a look at Chelsea, 60% of their money is coming from an organisation called Clearlake Capital, which is a private equity company. Private equity doesn't like football; it likes money. So therefore, Chelsea is being acquired in the pure form as an investment. And that's been the approach of the Glazers. That's why corners have been cut, especially off the pitch, I would say, with regards to the way that money's been spent at United. And listening to Jim Ratcliffe's comments, he wants Chelsea to be successful because he wants English football to be successful, and he knows that requires investment. He's bought effectively the Sky cycling team. He's now renamed it Ineos, and as he points out, he doesn't need to make money at his age. He can pick up his pension every fortnight if he wants to, but he is Britain's richest man. He doesn't need to do that, and I think he quite likes the idea of creating something which he can see as a legacy for the rest of his life.
This is getting scary now, Kieran, because you're giving me a bit of hope, and I don't like having hope. I'd rather not have any. One thing that he did say, and that we all know is, that officially anyway, is that Manchester United is not for sale. He said that in the interview that he gave to the BBC with Dan Rowan, I think it was. Do you think that could change? Do you think that the Glazers would look at it and there could be an offer out there that makes them think, okay, this is worth our while?
Well, if you take a look at Manchester United's share price under the Glazers, the club was listed. We're almost at 10 years. I think it was August the 12th, 2012, or sometime around that. It was listed on the market at $14 per share. It spent most of the last month trading below that price. So from the Glazers' point of view, I think they were hopeful, and especially this is why they backed Project Big Picture and Super League to such a degree. They were hopeful that they'd be able to open up a few more doors in terms of generating money at United. The fact that they've made no profit, or rather the shareholders have made no profit in 10 years, will, I suspect, result in a lot of shareholders say, well, why are we doing this? We've had all of these promises, all of these hopes, and they've gone nowhere. The Glazers could still walk out. Remember, they sold shares in November 21 at around about $21 a share. So they'd actually made a 50% profit on those shares. But if the share price has now dropped down, what's in it for them to keep their money in the club? They're never going to go and turn up and ask for a chip supper in Stretford any day. So there's nothing in it for them unless there is a price at which they're prepared to budge. And I think before Super League, before Big Picture, they thought that they could extract more money from the club. Everybody at United knows, it doesn't matter whether you have to be a United fan or not, that a lot of money needs to be spent at Old Trafford itself, and a lot of money needs to be spent on the pitch. Where's that money going to come from? Ain't going to come from the Glazers. So there is a genuine danger of the club stagnating under the Glazers. And if they've got any common sense, they'll realise that as well and pass it on to somebody else.
Well, common sense is something I don't really usually associate with the Glazer family, if I'm being honest with you, but we can hope. How much of an effect do you think not winning things and not having success on the pitch over the last few years especially has done to Manchester United and its value? You mentioned there that the share price hasn't budged for 10 years. And obviously, we've not won a league for 9 of those years. We've not won a trophy for 5 of those years. Does that have a real big effect on that price?
Well, Ed Woodward probably regrets saying this more than anything else at his time at the club. He said, this club does not need to win football matches to be a success commercially. But that isn't the case. If you take a look at Manchester United's commercial revenue over the course of the last 5 to 6 years, it's flatlined. They're still making 275, just a wee bit more perhaps, per year in a normal non-COVID year. But there's no sign of growth. And United fans will hate it, but Liverpool are a really sexy football club at present. They've got a manager who's really personable. They're winning stuff. They're playing a type of football which is worth watching as a neutral. And Manchester United aren't. And the thing is, if Manchester United aren't attracting eyeballs, if they're not attracting success on the pitch, if you are a sponsor, what do you want to do at the start of each season when you renew your sponsorship deal? You want your product next to a player from the club holding some of that, because the managing director or the chief executive, they do that because they think, I'm now able to hold the Champions League or the Premier League trophy or whatever it's going to be. It makes me look good. It makes my products look good. United, unless they start winning stuff again, the danger is that I don't think their commercial revenues are going to fall, but other clubs will start catching up more and more. And there is a genuine danger. We saw Manchester City overtake Manchester United in terms of revenue last season. Now, in my opinion, that was a one-off, because United normally generate twice as much money compared to City through the turnstiles. And clearly that was a match that was a year behind closed doors. But City have some unusually close relationships with certain sponsors, which it ain't my job to say they're good or bad or whatever, but they're unusual. Liverpool are catching up though. Spurs have now got this fantastic stadium, which is open on non-match days and generates an awful lot of money. And having been there as an away fan, I've done all the grounds, the same as you, Jay. Around, and the Spurs is the only one where I've gone, Jesus Christ, this is amazing. And it is, and they're able to hold boxing promotions. They're able to have the NFL. They're holding a lot more more concerts. It would be a stadium that could be used to host the Europa League final and so on. Well, Old Trafford isn't that popular with UEFA anymore because simply the Glazers haven't invested on that infrastructure. And as an away fan, and you might, you can certainly articulate this far better than I can. As an away fan, when I go to sit at Old Trafford, I get there as close to kick-off as I can, and I leave straight afterwards because there's nothing to make me want to stay there. The concourses are tight, the catering facilities, the toilets, they're all a bit crap. Whereas Spurs, what Spurs have done is that they've made their facilities in such a way that it's actually, if you turn up an hour and a half before the match, you can have a chat, you can be served with your beer really quickly, and actually it's quite pleasant. I know the prices are a rip-off, but the prices are a rip-off at practically every ground. And that means, the longer you stay on the premises, the more money you spend. United under the Glazers have not done that.
It sort of brings me on to my next point really well, actually, because I agree with a lot of what you say about the ground as well, by the way. I'm not going to sit here and defend the state of Old Trafford at all, because although I love the iconic stadium, I think the facilities there and the structure, it needs a massive revamp, if not a rebuild, to be honest with you. How much of an effect do you think it would have if fans stopped going? Because this is an argument a lot of United fans have, even within each other. We obviously don't like the Glazers. Do we need to stop going? Is that going to answer the problem? There's a lot of fans who are just fed up of seeing football that's not great, not winning things. How much of an effect do you think that could have if the revenue through the turnstiles, or if lots of people just stop renewing season tickets? Do you think that could force the issue?
I think United would be more. I think the Glazers would be absolutely delighted if season ticket holders stopped buying season tickets. And the reason why I say that is that you think about how much your season ticket costs you per match. You divide the price of your. Well, the Glazers would actually much rather sell your ticket to tourists for 50 quid a pop. If you take a look at Liverpool have got a capacity of 54,000 at Anfield, but only 27,000 season ticket holders. They make an absolute fortune because every time, I'm not going to slag off tourists. They support the club as in a different way to a regular from Manchester or a regular from Liverpool. It doesn't matter where you are. They support it in a different way, but they turn up, they pay more for the tickets, they all go to the megastore, they all spend 150 quid in the megastore. Can you see from the Glazers' point of view, if they found an excuse to reduce the number of season tickets sold by 5,000, it would actually be beneficial to them. Manchester United will sell out Old Trafford even if 5,000 or 10,000 season tickets turn their back on the club. And the reason for that is it's Manchester United. It's a global football club, and they'll be able to sell those tickets to fans elsewhere in the country. So I understand where they're coming from. I understand the frustration. I'm a member of FC United myself. I talk to the lads there, and you can understand, and it breaks their heart to be, it's partly to be supporting FC United in Manchester because they are Reds. But they're not Glazer Reds. And that was a step too far for them. And I'm not saying they're right or wrong. It's a different viewpoint. But Manchester United are so big that if a proportion of season ticket holders stop going, it would actually be beneficial for the Glazers.
Yeah, it's an argument I've heard put forward before that, to be fair. Just on the stadium as well, there's talk of a revamp or a rebuild. I mean, some of the figures are going up from like 200 million to upwards of 300, 400, even 500 million or whatever. How likely do you think we are to see one of the other? Do you think that because of the cost, it's likely we're just going to see a bit of a revamp at Old Trafford rather than anything more drastic?
I think that the club is aware of the criticism that it's getting because it's getting so much of it. It's not just from regular Reds. You've got journalists complaining about water coming through. You've got the fact that UEFA are reluctant to hold finals at Old Trafford. Old Trafford, one of the most famous stadiums in the world. And if UEFA don't want to go and hold matches there, that just looks a bit embarrassing. So they do need to spend money, whether it's going to significantly increase the capacity or whether it's mainly going to be focused on corporates and hospitality. I'm not certain, but it would be an expensive refit. It can certainly be done at Old Trafford. And then also you'd have to ask, let's say that capacity goes up to, say to 80, 85,000. Who are those tickets going to be sold to? Well, again, it ain't going to be lads from Gorton, is it? Yeah, because they're not because season ticket holders don't pay enough as far as the Glazers are concerned. They want it to be premium ticket prices, hospitality, and so on. There'll be a few tickets for the regulars just to keep us quiet, but it's not being done for the benefit of the fans.
No, I can completely see that. Just one final question, Kieran. During the Chelsea takeover, we saw this sort of the stories doing the rounds about some sort of stipulation being put in, almost being touted as like an anti-Glazer tax or whatever, to stop owners taking over a club and doing to other clubs what the Glazers have done to Manchester United. Can you tell us anything a little bit about that? What does that mean, and is that something we're likely to see moving forward at other clubs?
Well, Roman Abramovich appointed an American bank to oversee sort of the sale of the club, and that was before the sanctions came in. And what the prospective owners have all done is they've effectively done a beauty parade. They've pitched themselves to Chelsea Supporters Trust. They've pitched themselves to Chelsea pitch owners themselves, because if Chelsea cannot move unless they get the approval of the fan base. I mean, Ken Bates, I think it's fair to say, not the greatest person in the history of football, but the one thing which he did, which was really, really good, was he protected Chelsea Football Club from being effectively acquired as a property development asset by literally splitting the pitch into one yard squares and selling off each of those, and nobody's allowed to own more than 10%. And it does actually protect Stamford Bridge and Chelsea Football Club as a name in terms of getting fan approval. So these prospective owners, what they've done is they've said, we're not in it to flip it. It's not like Dion Dublin when he goes in and does his TV programs and he says, right, where we stick in a new kitchen, a new liquor paint here and there, and you make 30 grand and you're off to do it again. So it looks like the new owners are committing themselves for at least 10 years. And they've also said during that period, we will not pay ourselves dividends. We will not take out management charges. That's the accusation which has been made at the Glazers. Manchester United, £827 million spent on interest under the terms of the leverage buyout. On top of that, you've got dividends being extracted at £22 million a year. The majority of that, not all of it, of course, about 3/4 of that will end up in the hands of the Glazers, and we don't know what management fees that they're picking up as well. So the new owners have said, we're not going to go down the Glazer route with regards to that. So that's what the news which has come out. We don't know whether that's true for certain, but I think it's been said by enough pretty senior journalists, and the journalists tend to be pretty in the know because they've all got the contacts at the club.
Yeah, it's certainly interesting. It'll be interesting to see if that transpires, and it's also a little bit frustrating from a United point of view that something like that wasn't happening 17 years ago. But we'll wait and see what happens. Kieran, as always, it's been a pleasure chatting to you. What are you up to? Have you got anything on the horizon that we need to know about? Because you're always busy.
Yeah, well, I've just done a live show at Accrington Stanley. If anybody ever gets a chance to go there, take it up next season, just for a day out. Fantastic place. And I'm working in Seville next week, and I've got a ticket for the final, Rangers versus Eintracht Frankfurt, which I imagine, can you imagine, Scottish fans in 36-degree heat for 24, 48 hours. It's going to be an amazing sight. So, yeah, really looking forward to it.
That is quite a tour you're going on there. Accrington to Seville. Yeah, to Seville. Yes. Well, don't expect that one. Kieran, as always, it's a pleasure. And thanks for sort of clarifying a few things and explaining a few things to us. It's always good to know where we stand. And I am a bit worried, though, because you have given me a little bit of hope, and I don't like having that. But thanks for chatting to us.
All the best, Jake. Take care, mate.
Thanks a lot. So that was Kieran Maguire, football finance expert from The Price of Football. Great chatting to him. I am worried, though, because I'm not going to lie to you, he's given me hope. When he spoke about the Glazers not making any money, or, well, not making any money, but not making the money they thought they would be, when he spoke about the sort of shareholder price stagnating, when he talked about revenue stagnating, when he spoke about Liverpool having success on the pitch and that translating to them having more success in terms of commercial revenue, when he spoke about Jim Ratcliffe as well, getting to that age where He does want to do something with football. He is a United fan. You're putting all those things together and you're thinking, could this happen? Is there a little bit of hope there? Because that's how I'm feeling at the minute. And I don't really like it. But who knows? We'll have to wait and see anyway. But thanks to him for coming on the channel. Make sure you are hitting like, share, and subscribe. And we'll have more interviews coming up. Well, we'll be talking about the Glazers, about Ten Hag, about incoming transfers, all that good stuff as well. I've been Jay Motti. This has been a one-on-one interview. Thanks for watching.